Hey, we're back after that short break. Glad to be here with my buddy Bruce. We hope you join us on Friday with the All-Star panel. Candace and Jane and Brian and the two of us get together at Circuit World and chew the fat a little bit about the week's events. And there's a lot going on, isn't there, Bob?
There's a lot going on all the time.
Yeah. So you want to touch on the wall first?
Yeah. I mean, the government
The
shutdown.
wall, the shutdown, all tied together, right?
Yeah, it is. It's, one begets the other. So obviously Trump has dug in, and he is perfectly happy to continue to keep the government shut. It's sort of getting to a no-win for either side, in my opinion, because as he said, he's asked the Democrats, well, if I reopen the government, are you going to really come to the table and negotiate in good faith? And they go, no. So I'm sure Trump is sitting there thinking, well, why should I reopen the government? Because I'm not going to get anything. So I don't know if this is all leading up to the use of the National Emergency Act that he says he can do.
We talked about that last Friday at the All-Star panel, and I think we were a little bit split on that. I didn't think he was going to go there. He claims he's not going to go there. He said it's too simple of a issue to pull that card.
Well, yeah, and you think about the Democrats. I mean, in '06 they voted money for a wall. I mean, big billions of dollars. I mean, it was
26, wasn't it?
26 billion back then, and they redid it in 13. And you have to ask yourself, okay, here are our elected officials voting on these things 12 years ago, 5 years ago. Where'd the money go? What happened? I mean, they vote on stuff and then it just like disappears into the fog. So,
I just absolutely grinds on me that they can be that disingenuous when they have to be able to see themselves in these clips and hear and feel what they said and what they believed in so vehemently years ago, and to just make no excuse for the flip. Well, it's a different day now. No, it isn't. It's a different president. That's what the problem is. They don't like the president. They don't want him to have a winning strategy. They don't want him in 2020 to be saying, promises made, promises kept.
And the other thing that's happened, of course, during Obama's administration, he unilaterally, through executive powers, did the DACA thing, the Dreamers bill.
Even though he said, there's no way I can do that. I can't rewrite law.
And it's probably going to get struck down at a court level. And indeed, it has been struck down. But now you have this 800,000 population of dreamers in the country that are looking for some sort of status resolution. And it's just not going to happen. I mean, unless you can get like comprehensive immigration reform, which both parties for 3 or more decades has refused to address this issue. And they just kicked the can down the road. And I think a lot of people are really giving Trump props for digging in his heels and saying, let's solve this thing once and for all. But I don't know if it's going to happen.
Let me tell you, there was a call-in. Yeah, let me take a step back. So, okay, he goes and he pulls the national emergency card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm going to play this.
I'm going to play this bad boy, and then he's able to divert money, probably from Army Corps, something like that.
FEMA, whatever.
Yeah, wherever there's some money to get this wall, whatever they want to call it these days. Then immediately, and I guarantee you that the Dems have already got a court picked out.
Ninth Circuit,
where they can cherry pick the judge who is going to rule against Trump. And they had a guy call in to Rush the other day, and I thought it was a brilliant scheme, and I wish he would have kept it to himself. But okay, let's go here. The Republicans are set to do the same thing the Democrats. However, they pick a different court. What this guy said was the immediate, I mean, literally 30 seconds after Trump pulls the national emergency card, they slam in a court of their liking, maybe in Texas.
mm-hmm.
They go to Texas, they slam a lawsuit, knowing that the judge is probably going to rule in his favor to cut the 11th Circuit off at the knees. How cool would that be?
So, I
You
mean,
understand what I mean?
Yeah, who would bring the suit? Like, just any Republican?
Yeah, yeah.
Or a rhino? Or,
Yeah,
or-
all we're trying to do, make them adjudicate it, knowing that this judge will probably rule in the president's favor because he does have the authority.
So just, pip them at the line, as it were, to get into a court
Beat him
of
to the
their choosing.
punch.
Yeah.
Beat him to the punch. I thought
Right.
that was a very, very cool idea that he called into Rush Limbaugh and brought that out, and Rush thought it was great. So
You just don't know if the Republicans
Rush is
would think
running the
like
country, by the way.
that. Things are getting better.
What about shutdown? What about TSA? What about these people that are calling in sick and they're having to shut down?
Where is it? Houston and Miami airports.
Houston and Miami shut down the some of the terminals.
Yeah, I don't think it's been across the board, but some of the terminals have been, reduced or shut down or whatever it is.
Fire them, folks.
Yeah, this brings back the Reagan and the air traffic controllers.
We want to privatize that agency anyway.
Yeah.
Make TSA the oversight agency for the private companies that should come in and do a better job. Let the airlines, worry about safety, and believe me, they will worry about safety.
Yeah, indeed.
They will. They'll make something happen. But I heard something this morning that, it might not be bad to kind of trim government down a little bit.
Gee, Trump, I think, has already told all the departments, the cabinet departments, that they need to do a 5 to 10% reduction. So I think that's already in the works. But that's probably been boogered up by all the career politicians.
Well, to my humble way of
Civil
thinking, they
service.
ought to do away with a couple of those departments.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. First
Absolutely.
one, education.
Energy should go too. There's no reason. Energy only started under Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter, yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carter put that into play, and there's absolutely no reason.
But a few other things about the wall and our politicians. Just to throw some things out there. The Democrats, really got behind Obama on this Iran deal. Somehow, they could find $150 billion of frozen funds.
Frozen assets run
Yeah.
through Canada.
$150 billion that can go to Iran, but they can't, agree to for $5 billion for this wall in our own country. Another little interesting tidbit: since 1972, the government has built over 3,000 miles of sound walls along interstates and highways to protect nearby homeowners from traffic. These walls cost about $2 million per mile. The government has spent over $6 billion on these. So if they can spend $6 billion on sound walls,
Those are interstate highways.
yeah,
Yeah.
sound walls, I think we can probably spend $5 billion for a wall that's going to keep, drugs and illegal immigrants out, and you'd think that would be a no-brainer, but Washington continues to amaze us, folks.
There was a sound bite yesterday of someone said, well, the walls don't work, all they do is tunnel underneath. But the whole thing is about making it as tough as they can
Indeed.
for the drug cartels to be bringing in drugs, human trafficking. It's going to take a lot more energy, time, money to tunnel under some of this stuff.
And there is technology out there that can detect
Sonar.
tunneling and things like that.
Yeah.
If any of the listeners or viewers have ever been to Israel, they have, the whole state of Israel is walled off. And they have a very extensive combination of physical barriers, electronics, surveillance. And in fact, I heard that the company that did the wall in Israel is angling to get approval to be one of the bidders on any of the walls in the U.S. I think that would be a good thing. They obviously know what they're doing, and I think they would bring the latest in terms of all these things, physical, electronic, surveillance, to the table. I think that could be very interesting for some of the people who doubt just a wall is going to be sufficient, and people will dig under it and catapult over it and all these things.
Boing!
Yeah.
I might have missed some retired professional or active professional, But to a person, the ones that I've heard all say that the wall in combination with other things works.
Indeed.
Walls work.
You get the leaders of the Border Patrol, the ICE officials, rank and file, the people around the ground getting shot at or chasing people. You have not heard hardly anything from any of those professionals that they are against the wall. They say barriers, technology, people, equipment, they need it all. And that is, I think, part of the $5 billion. It isn't just the structure. I think there's other monies in there for these other aspects.
What is it, 1/10 of 1% of the entire overall budget?
Yeah. It's peanuts in the big scheme.
Yeah. Remember, folks, what Trump said. I'm going to do this one time, the omnibus bill.
Mm-hmm.
With that Ryan said that cake was already baked when he came in, which was horse phooey. But I'm going to do it one time. And he's a man of his word. I mean, he says he's not going to open the government. I'm telling you. He's going to be a man of his word. So what else you got for us that's kicking around in the news?
Well, I think, the New York Times came out about Trump being a Russian agent. I mean, it takes it to the height of ridiculousness, but...
That's the FBI again, leaking to the press. They're out in front of this thing. As my friend Debbie in Florida said, they're out in front of this thing to cover their keisters.
Mm-hmm. And they just throw disinformation out there. I mean, this is classic rules for radicals.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah.
So, it's ridiculous. Why would he be an agent for the Russians? I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
No, none. Cohen gonna appear? Is that just a bunch of nothing?
I think he's just going to flap his gums and do some of this stuff like the Times. Just throw a bunch of funny stuff out there. It's going to get the attraction of the media. They're going to run with it. It'll be in the news cycle for 3 to 7 days and done.
Brian had a really good piece. Brian had a really good piece yesterday about Cohen and the Ukrainian ties and his father-in-law and the medallions. We covered it one day on the show.
Yeah, we did.
But he went down a couple other rabbit holes where, they're loan sharks. They're lending each other money back and forth and guaranteeing it with the medallions, and they're tied into the marijuana industry now.
Well, we talked on the show, the All-Star panel, months ago about the incestuous nest of vipers that is in Washington. All the people, Peter Strzok and
Lisa Page,
their family members are tied in. There's judges. There's this. There's that. I mean, it's
What about the one that came in and testified against Kavanaugh? Her brother was part of Fusion GPS.
Oh, Blasey Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her brother was part of Fusion GPS.
Incestuous nest of vipers.
I'm telling you. What say you about Gillette? Are you going to change to Schick? Huh? You got that toxic masculinity working there, brother.
I got an old 3 that I like, because I'm kind of fixed
an old 3? How do you find blades for that bad boy?
Oh, you can get them there on the internet. I'm conflicted now. I mean, that thing, you got to give the background on, that ad.
Well, it's...
Basically, men are toxic and terrible, and boys are just bullies and...
Right.
Yeah, it's a really nasty ad in many ways.
They say it was aimed to women.
Women use Gillette
patronize.
Products,
yeah.
But, I mean...
I'd
say, let's just say it's 50-50, but I mean, do you want to alienate 50% of your buyers?
Yeah.
And some people have already come back and said, that's it, I'm not buying any Gillette. I mean, there's all these online Henry's Ragers and,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there's other options.
Yeah,
folks.
Blade of the Month Club, right?
Yeah, hey.
Well, that's the whole deal. We'll give you the razor, but you got to buy the blades, folks. You got to buy the blades.
Yeah,
anyway.
Always replacements.
What about, let's see, what else is current?
Democratic Party contenders for the presidency.
Oh, yeah.
We got a list a mile long, folks.
20 of them at least, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's people you never even heard of.
And they're already backbiting each other.
Oh, gee, what a shock.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, Tulsi Gabbard, you know, she said something about gays.
Long time ago.
Long time ago.
Yeah, well, I've evolved.
Yeah. Is Bernie going to run again? I mean, we got Elizabeth
Bernie's
Warren.
what, 80, what is he, 88 years old or something like
No,
that?
he's not in his 80s.
Are you sure?
I think he's late 70s.
Okay.
But you got
gonna fact
Elizabeth
check that.
Warren, Julian Castro,
That's the old ag secretary, or
right, under Obama.
yeah,
Booker, you have Biden,
Corey.
Delaney from Maryland,
Harris.
guy from West Virginia, Ojeda, Andrew Yang, Tulsi Gabbard, Beto out of Texas,
Yeah.
Kirsten Gillibrand, New York, Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota,
And don't forget,
de Blasio, McAuliffe.
and let's not forget the
This-
leading candidate that just came out of Iowa.
Who dat?
That'd be Warren.
Debbie Warren.
No, that'd be Warren.
Oh,
Pocahontas.
yes, Liawatha.
Yeah, who came out with that?
Yes.
Was that Gutfeld?
Huh?
Was that Gutfeld
Yeah,
the
I
other
think it
night on the
was, yeah.
5?
Yeah.
Liawatha.
But it was so funny, you know, she did that ad where it's like she pops a bottle of beer and starts
Yeah,
drinking
oh,
it.
excuse me while I take a sip of beer.
Yeah, and then her husband comes in and she goes, "Oh, I'm so thankful that you're here. Thank you for being here." And someone said, "Why shouldn't he be there? It's his house."
That's right. I live here, all right? Thank you for being here.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you.
No.
It's getting wacky. And it's 2 years out, folks.
Let's go out to California where they banned plastic bags, plastic straws, and now they're after paper receipts.
And the new governor says he's going to tax drinking water.
That came out yesterday, and it was reported this morning that he is going to tax drinking water. My goodness, where
This
are they
is
going
to
to
create a
end?
fund for those folks who live in California who can't afford the water.
Yeah.
And you just go, really? You know, people don't have access to water. You don't hear that many people have, you know, they're falling over in the streets because they're dehydrated. But you know, some things don't get reported. What can I say?
And our final thought of the day, our old buddy AOC.
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Here's a quote, folks. Or here's what's attributed to her. Socialism is an economic disease born of envy and ignorance. Unfortunately, both abound in our present politics. The sickness has found an attractive spokeswoman, perhaps sadly, the voice of her generation. I think that says a mouthful, don't you?
She is getting a lot of attention. She is certainly the heroine of the you know, the youthful left wing of the Democratic Party.
Not to be confused with heroin.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But you know, again, she has a degree in economics and international relations from Boston University, which really sort of suggests to me, don't send your kids to Boston University. It just is really sad. They must be very upset with you know, her lack of knowledge on some basic things about you know, government systems and economics.
Anyway, this has been fun this morning. We're delighted to be able to answer the call and sit in for Brian, who's a little bit under the weather. After the break, we're going to break for our commercial sponsors, our buddies out there that make this all happen for you on a daily basis.
Indeed.
And then we're going to be visited by Beth Bennett from H&R Block right here in LJ, talk a little bit about tax season and give you some tips. And then Dr. Mark Well from Ridgeline Counseling will give you his perspective on some things that may be troubling in your life or those of others that you know. So make sure you stay tuned for those folks. They've got some very insightful information.
And we'll see you again on Friday.
Yeah, we will be there on Friday at our friends at Circuit World.
JR.
JR, hopefully he's on the mend, and we'll see Jamie out there. We'll be with our all-star panel friends, Candace and Jane, and Brian will be with Dr. Bill Whaley and our Ask the Doc segment. It's always fun to see Doc Whaley and what he brings to the dance every Friday.
And then, of course, we always get pushed out for the Pet of the Week.
Pet of the Week, and then we've got a little, we've got someone in the middle in there, and I'm Jesse Barton, correct?
Yes. From
Jesse Barton from one of the extended care facilities. Cameron Hall. Cameron Hall is well represented by Jesse, and she always brings some interesting stuff to the table. So, Josh, thanks so much for helping us this morning. We kind of came in here on the fly. Like I said, we felt like we're flight attendants on reserve, and we just got called in for an international flight. But hopefully you found what we had to say this morning entertaining. If you missed the piece earlier that Dabo Sweeney did, I would urge you, regardless of whether you're a football fan or not, I think it lends a lot of credibility to that program, and it was all well deserved. So,
did we get free miles with Fetcher News Airlines?
that's right. Enjoyed being with you this morning, and
Good being with you.
Brian, we hope you're on the mend, and stay tuned in the next half hour for Beth and Dr. Mark Well. Thank you, Josh. We are out of here.